marathons or ultras before her 40th birthday, which, by the way, is less than a year away. I looked. You can find her at her blog, 40by40fitness.com, and she is also a contributor for Itchy Life magazine. Aimee, you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hey, Aimee, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Great, excellent. It's been kind of crazy around here today, but it's all good.
Yes, absolutely. We're here. That's all that matters.
Hi, Aimee. It's Krista. Glad to have you on the show.
Hi, Krista. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
So I see on your blog you've kind of kept track. I see a listing of the marathons that you completed and those that are coming up.
Yes, I do. I have run, I actually need to update a few. I have another one coming up this Sunday. It will be my 24th marathon. And so I need to move a couple of them down into the completed section because the dates are passed. But I figured I'll do it after Sunday. I'll just move a couple of them at once because I've run several very close together. I just finished up a stint where I did 3 marathons in 13 days. So.
Oh, my gosh. So when is your birthday?
My birthday is actually it's March 7th. And I'm actually 4.5 years away. The countdown on my website is counting in weeks. But a lot of people look at it and they think it's days. So, I've got about 4.5 years left. And hopefully I will hit my goal early. The rate I'm going, I should. But you never know when life will throw you a curveball. So, I kind of like having that cushion in there just to make sure that, that I give myself a decent chance of actually reaching the goal.
So why the number 40 before 40? Or was it just because I'm going to be 40, so I wanted to do 40?
The way that all of this came about, I started running, I ran my first marathon back in 2008, and at the time that I ran it, I thought it was going to be a one and done type of deal. I thought I was just going to do one and check it off the bucket list and move on to something else. And I found out that I actually really loved the distance, and so I signed up and started doing a couple more, and at some point, after I had my 4th child, I was able to really start getting into training again, and really up the amount of miles that I was able to do. And so I started wanting to do more and more, and I set a goal for myself of qualifying for a group called the Marathon Maniacs, which their entry-level criteria are you have to run 2 marathons in 16 days or 3 marathons in 90 days. And so I had done that, and I was thinking, okay, I always like to have a goal in mind that I'm working towards, because I find that if I don't have something that I'm working towards, then it just becomes too easy to become complacent. And so I knew I wanted to set another goal, and I always like to set big goals so I can challenge myself. And so the one day I was out running, and I was like, man, what is going to be my next long-term goal? And it just sort of hit me. I was 34 at the time that I had this idea, and I had run 13 marathons. I was like, I wonder if I could do 40 marathons by the time I'm 40. And so I came home from the run. I started jotting it out and looking to see how many races I would have to run every year in order to do it. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. So that's kind of how the idea was born. It was just a way for me to challenge myself. And
how many do you have to run per year to meet your goal?
I'm currently 35, and I'm about to do my 24th. At the time I set the goal, I was going to have to run between 5 and 6 per year, but I have actually picked up my schedule, so I don't have to do that many now. I'm going to probably end up doing either 11 or 12 marathons this year alone. So, that takes care of almost 2 years in the goal. So I think I'm down to I only have to do 3 or 4 a year in order to meet the goal at this point.
So tell us, where do you live, Aimee?
I live in Northeast Ohio. I live very close to Canton, which is where the Pro Football Hall of Fame is, and we have a very vibrant running community here. And the town that I'm from, we have a great running program. I actually started running when I was 12 years old. I joined our school's cross-country team, and that's, what started all of this. I joined the team, and I fell in love with the sport, and it's something that, I'm doing now as an adult, and I'm actually able to coach my kids. I coach the elementary running club, the 4th through 6th graders, boys and girls, that they are going to, when they get to middle school, be running for the same school team that I ran for years ago when I first started. So it's kind of come full circle.
So tell us about your kids. Boys, girls, what are their ages?
I have 3 boys and 1 girl. The oldest is a boy. He is 11 years old. He's in 6th grade. The second is also a boy. He is 9 years old in 4th grade. The third is my girl, and she's 6 years old in kindergarten. And my youngest is a boy. He's 3 years old and in preschool. So.
Wow, you got your hands full.
Yes, absolutely. So they keep me on my toes. I always joke that I have to work out because I have to be able to keep up with my kids.
So are all your marathons, do they all take place in Ohio, or do you travel to different states to compete?
I primarily do races in Ohio. With the stage of life that I'm in, it's a lot easier to do a race that I don't have to go overnight anywhere for. I can be home and put the kids to bed at night, get up the next morning, drive to my race, run, drive back, and, be home for dinner. So it doesn't affect our families much. I have done a few out-of-state races. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law ran their first marathon in Utah back in June, and I had always told them that whenever they decided to do their first marathon that I would run it with them and help pace them to the finish. And so that actually ended up being my 20th marathon, was in Utah, and I got to do it with them and help them reach their goal, which was a really, really special occasion for all of us. And then I just ran a couple weeks ago, my bosses for work, I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary with the company that I work for, and so they sent me to Boulder, Colorado, for my 10-year anniversary gift. I know, right? They know that I love Newton running shoes, and Newton is headquartered in Boulder, Colorado, so they arranged this trip and surprised me with it.
How nice.
So that they're seriously amazing. They set up
supportive.
For me. Very supportive of my running, very supportive, of my personal development, professional development. It's pretty much everything you could ever ask for in a company to work for.
Wow.
But yeah, so while I was out there, I ran a marathon. What do I do? I am the director of operations and corporate strategy for a company called Ruling Group. And we have several different divisions to the business, but one of the main divisions is my one boss, John Rulin, is known for corporate, helping people develop lasting relationships through showing significant strategic appreciation. So it's basically, a lot of companies, they try to take high-level executives out and take them to a round of golf, which is nice, but it doesn't last. It's a one-time thing. It's consumable. And then there are other companies that also try to, get you to think of their company by sending you a 99-cent pen. And, it's nice, but, it's not like something that really stands out and thinks, wow, they were
huge
really
difference.
Right. They were really thinking of me. And so what we do is we teach people how to really develop relationships. And if you're going to give a gift, do something that's going to be memorable. Don't just give a standard pen or a mug or a dinner.
So what do you guys suggest you do? I mean, that's very interesting. Go on.
We have a lot of different product lines that we work with, and basically what we do is we tell our clients, if you're going to send something, make sure that it's something that's going to be unique, make sure it's something that is going to last, and make sure that it's the best in class. And so one of our product lines is Cutco Cutlery, and the products are made in America, and they are a really good quality. And we have had them engraved with corporate logos and the person's name. So when somebody gets it, they're given a knife, and it sounds a little odd to send a knife as a business gift, but you open it up, and it has their company's logo, and it has the phrase handcrafted exclusively for the Joyce Wheeler family on it, and it's something that you use every single day. So every time you're preparing a meal for your family, you're thinking of the company that sent you this gift. And so that's what we suggest, something that is going to stand out, something that's going to get used rather than something that's just easily consumed and forgotten.
What's interesting is the Rulin Group, they sort of walk the walk and then talk the talk. Like what they provide, what the advice that they provide for their clients is exactly what they do internally. Like by sending you on that trip was like a way of showing you great appreciation. So that's really impressive.
Yes, it is, because a lot of companies nowadays don't do that. They'll say one thing and then they treat their employees a completely different way.
Exactly. So if I have two different policies, the external for their clients and customers, and a different internal one, it's all together different. So that's really worth noting.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm curious about the impact of your determination to run your marathons and how that impacts your work. Because I would imagine that, both worlds sort of work together, and that when you're, go on, talk a little bit about that.
It absolutely does. They play off of each other. And I know that when I'm training, I tend to be more focused. Like if I can go out and I can have a really, really good workout, when I come back, my endorphins have peaked. And so I've got those, feel-good hormones. And exercise can also help to boost your serotonin levels, which helps with your clarity of thinking. And so, it absolutely does. And my work, I work from home, and so I certainly have times that, I have to be in front of my computer. I'm on conference calls, I'm on calls with customers. There are meetings that I have to attend, but I do have some flexibility. So, usually my lunch break is I go and I run over lunch.
Yeah.
So, I probably couldn't do that if I was in a more corporate setting and come back and be all sweaty. But
that's nice.
So you run for lunch and then you come back and you're on the conference call and you're all pepped up and revved, and you probably have this, energy that everybody else can feel, and I just think that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the two absolutely do play off of each other. And, if I have a problem, like I tend to solve problems on my runs and during my workouts. And so, if there's something that I'm working on in the morning and I'm just stuck on something, sometimes when I go on that run over lunch, it's like the answer just hits me. It's like,
Isn't that the great thing, Aimee, about working out? Because I get the same way. I'll be working out and it's like my mind is like going 240. You just start thinking about things. And I found myself at times having to stop working out because if I don't jot down what I just thought of, I'm afraid I'm going to forget it.
Yes, absolutely. I have my phone in an armband as I run, and I have a GPS app that I use to track my time and my distance. But there have been a few times that I have paused my GPS and I open up my notepad in my phone and I just like start typing so I don't forget this great idea that I just had. So yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
So how does your, tell us, does your husband run also? I mean, he's a preacher. So does...
Yes, he is a preacher. So he has a little bit of an unpredictable schedule as well. He does not enjoy running, but he does work out. I
hear that.
Yeah. He primarily lifts weights and plays basketball. So
nice.
Yeah, that's what he enjoys. He's supportive of me, and we always joke that, he'll be at my races standing on the sidelines cheering for me while he drinks a milkshake. But
well,
he's totally supportive of Aimee. I happened to see that a post on Facebook that he left for you for your birthday. Do you want to share that, a little bit about that with the people who are listening on the radio?
Was it the one that he left for my marathon, the picture?
Yeah, and it was a note about I hate to run, but I'll run after you, or something like that.
Yes.
I'll see you.
Yes, he did. And this year it was funny because there's a local 50K race, which is considered an ultra marathon. It's 31 miles. That is always really close to my birthday, and this year it happened to land on my birthday. And so I was running this race on my actual birthday, and it was up around Cleveland, and so it's a couple hours away from where we live. So, he couldn't make it to the race. It would have been a lot for him to get the kids up. And plus it was March in Ohio, and so it was snowing and icy and nasty. So when I got up to get ready for the race that morning, he had left this note on the bathroom mirror, and it says, "I hate to run, but I will always run to pursue you." And yeah, I thought that was so sweet.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, he's very supportive, and I'm very thankful to have him.
Yeah, I think you guys set a really wonderful
I think the important thing is
the people, for other people to follow, for other couples to follow, and for businesses to follow. And in the relationship corner of the world, you guys, are just really knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, well, and we always try to keep in mind, too, we're setting an example not only for other couples, but for our kids. They see the way we interact, and they're going to mimic this. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is something worth mimicking.
Your children are involved in sports? Are they?
Yes.
Do you see any of them with some real athletic ability?
Yes.
Any one of them is showing signs of that? So what are they involved in?
They are. And we have kind of let them, as they're young, try any sport that they're interested in. And then, when they get a little bit older, they can pick which one they really want to focus on, if they want to focus on just one or two. And so they have done basketball, soccer, baseball, swimming. My daughter did dance. So they were young age. They all ran their first 1 mile race. The youngest ran his first 1 mile race at 2, and the oldest one ran their first 1 mile at 4. And it's not something that we really pressured them into. It was more there's a local kids race, and they really wanted to do it. And even our 2-year-old, when he did it, it was our youngest child, and all 3 of his older siblings were doing this race. And he was so fired up. He was like, I want run. And so we're like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
We'll let him do it. He might have to walk. We might have to carry him. But, as long as he has fun.
Oh, and that is really simple.
That little dude ran the entire mile.
No way.
We were like, really? Like, you don't want to stop and walk? You're good?
He ran for the entire mile.
Yeah, ran the entire mile at 2. And our oldest, who also enjoys running, he's 11 now, and he ran for me in the elementary running club, and he was our top runner this year. So he's developed quite a bit of an interest in running. But when he was 4 and he ran his first mile, he was so distracted. He kept seeing squirrels in people's yards along the race course, and he just wanted to go chase the squirrels. So I remember at 4, trying to bring him back and be like, okay, well, how about we go this way? The race is this way. And so it just completely blew us away that our 2-year-old was, not only like staying on course, he actually ran the whole time. So
yeah, he's totally focused,
right?
Heading for the finish line. Yeah. That's so adorable.
It kind of cracked us up. So, but yeah, they all have. It seems like the older two at the moment are most interested in running and basketball. They love playing basketball, and they enjoy running. And in fact, I'm taking the older 2 kids with me tomorrow. There is a 5K up in Cleveland, and we're going to run it together. So,
that's beautiful. I noticed in your article in It's Your Life magazine, I guess it was the last issue, you talked about cross-training, with how it's important for children who are involved in one particular sport. Could you talk a little bit more about that? It sounded like it was some really important information.
Yes. So, what we're seeing a lot in youth sports is more and more kids are beginning to specialize at a younger age. And so you've got kids that are playing baseball year-round, starting in early elementary school, and there are becoming more and more overuse injuries that typically you didn't see until late high school or college. Kids are now having these same types of injuries in late elementary school or in middle school because they're playing the same sport and they're not diversifying at all. And so that's something that we really try to drive home. Club kids, I have them do different exercises to help strengthen some of their support muscles as well, rather than just focusing on running. And it's something that my husband does, is when he coaches basketball. Because when you do a single repetitive motion over and over and over again, you can develop a muscular imbalance. And that, if you're not training some of the support muscles as well, that's what can lead to injuries in the long term. So we really emphasize trying to make sure that you're doing a variety of activities. And so, we have our kids, they don't lift weights or anything yet. We don't feel like they're at a point with their growth that they could do it safely. But, they can do body weight exercises. They know what mountain climbers are, and they can do mountain climbers, and, they can do
mountain climbers.
Yeah. And it's
really a great exercise. You're using the whole core. You're using your upper body, your back, your triceps, your biceps. It's just an overall great exercise.
Right. And
I do them very slowly.
Yes. Yeah, but you know what? It's a great exercise, and you don't have to do it fast to
no,
you don't.
To get a good result
know.
From it. So we have them do things like that so that they're working other muscles in their body. It leads to your posture. If you overdevelop a certain set of muscles, it puts strain on other parts of your body and can lead to poor posture, which can lead to a lower oxygen intake if you're slumped over. So it just kind of becomes a cascade effect. And so the goal is to have them cross-train. So they can play baseball if they want. There's nothing wrong with that. But, have them do some other exercises as well to make sure that it's not the same repetitive motion over and over, that you're working some of those support muscles as well.
Well, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit and go back to what you said about your husband not liking to run, but he likes to play basketball and lift weights. You know, as far as fitness goes, because it's really important, you guys are a really great role model for your kids. They say that, you know, our kids will do the things that we do, just like they say what we say. Unfortunately, I have 3, and I've only got my 16-year-old who's kind of like following my footsteps, and my 24-year-old is finally grasped the concept because she thought I was a total fanatic. She was like, "You're a fanatic," and I don't want to be like you, you know. But the important thing is that it doesn't matter what you're doing in the way of exercise. Our bodies need that, especially in our society where we sit in front of the computers all day. I know I do. I'm in front of the computer all the time. You know, we were created to get up and to move. And I think that's part of the reason why we have the obesity rates that we have is because, you know, our kids sit in front of the computers, they sit in front of the TVs, they're gaming, and they're not moving. Right. So for me, I always tell people when they come to me about fitness, it's like, find something that you enjoy doing. Because if you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to do it.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I tell people the same thing, you know, because a lot of people will tell me, oh my gosh, I wish I could do what you do, but I just hate to run. And I tell them, you know what, that's fine. You don't have to run. You know, running is what I enjoy. It's, you know, my passion, but that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. There's got to be something that you enjoy. So, you know, whether it's walking or biking or swimming or basketball or, I mean, you name it. A lot of my friends are really into Zumba. You know, whatever you enjoy that gets you moving, do that. It's not that, you know, you have to do this one specific exercise. Just get out and move. You know, like you said, our bodies were made to move. We weren't made to be sedentary.
Right. See, and now for me, it's like I really enjoy like anything that has to do with the martial arts. So like kickboxing, Taibo. You know, and the thing is too is that, and that's another thing that our society deals with is we're always stressed out. You know, we're always going and doing this. We overload our schedules. We have so much to do. And it's just a great stress releaser. You know, and like you mentioned earlier, you know, you're getting those hormones and endorphins going.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is totally important.
Yeah, the hormones play a huge role.
I don't want to work out today, you know, and I have to kind of motivate myself and, you know, talk through it, be just like, oh, but you feel so much better when you're done. You know, you look better, your clothes look better. So what do you do to motivate yourself? Or do you ever lose motivation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody loses motivation from time to time. I mean, I think no matter, you know, how motivated you are, you know, everybody has their down moments, and their down periods. It's just part of life. But for me, what helps keep me motivated is I need to know my why. I need to know why I'm doing something. Like just saying that I'm going to get up and go work out isn't enough. Like I have to know what is it that I'm working towards with this workout.
Right.
So, you know, it might be that, you know, you want to feel better so that you have more energy to play with your kids. If that's your motivation, that's your why, that's what you think about when your motivation kind of dips and you hit those moments where it's like, oh my gosh, you know, my alarm went off. I'm supposed to get up and work out, but my bed feels really, really comfy right now. You know, I mean,
yeah, I know.
It happens. And yeah, knowing why you're doing something, I've found is a key. You know, having a goal, and knowing, what you're working towards, and then knowing why you're working towards it. It is a huge, it plays a huge role.
You mentioned, Aimee, you mentioned earlier that you believe that having a goal keeps you from becoming complacent. Is the goal the same thing as the why, or are they different?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So, like my current goal is to run 40 marathons or ultras before my 40th birthday.
Right.
As far as why I'm doing it, part of my why is I want my kids to see me setting big goals and then going out and working for them and ultimately achieving them. Because, like we said earlier, our kids mimic what we do. And so part of my why is, it's not so much about the goal itself. I want my kids to see that, okay, my mom's able to do this. If I set goals and I work hard, I can do this too. It doesn't have to be the same goal, but I want them to understand that concept. So that's part of my why and why I decided to actually go ahead and do this. Because, the goal in and of itself is great, but, there are plenty of days that I don't feel like getting up and training. There have been races that I've run that the weather has been absolutely horrible. And when my alarm goes off on race morning, I'm thinking, oh, my house is warm and it's 35 degrees and raining, and I really don't want to run in this. But I know that, it's going to bring me one step closer, and my kids know that I've committed to this race. And so what message is it going to send to them if I back out just because I don't feel like it?
I do think that a lot of people achieve great things because they're setting an example for their children. There's something about, some things we just won't do for ourselves, but we'll do because our children are paying attention, or because, it's a teaching lesson for them. Children save us sometimes. They really do.
Absolutely. So, and before I had kids, I had different whys. When I was in college, I wanted to, get good grades because I knew that my parents had done a lot to support me, and so I wanted to do the best that I could to, make them proud, and to really acknowledge, the contribution that they made. And so, that used to be my why. And it can change. But yeah, for right now, my kids are definitely a huge part of my why.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just, there was a person, I can't pronounce this person's name, who's on a chat, and he or she is saying, I can so relate to this talk. Health is my motivation and to feel fit and alive. And it's just like, and that's what it should be about. I don't think it should be, a chore, like something that we should dread, something that we should just feel like, oh, now I have to do this. Even though we do, but like for me, part of my motivation is just knowing that I'm doing something good for my body. I'm sitting on the computer all day long working on the magazine. I'm still freelance writing. And there's so many big aspects that go into the magazine. It's like a totally full-time job that I'm on the computer all day long. And it's like, and people might think it's crazy, but I want 2 hours to work out.
Right.
That's what I have for myself. It's like 2 hours. Yeah. And I would like to get back into doing it, 4 to 5 days a week, or five to 6 days a week like I was before. But sometimes my schedule just doesn't allow for that to happen. But, the thing was, I started working out when I was 17. And then I had my daughter when I was 26. And all of a sudden, it's like my world changed. I can't exercise for the 2 hours that I'm used to exercising. Right. So I had to change my mindset and say, you know what? Do something, because something's better than nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
So even though there's times where I can't get my full 2 hours in, I was just like, I have to do something. And I had even gotten to one point where I need to get back to doing this before, is when I was doing school online, I would periodically stop and just get up and start doing jumping jacks just to get my body moving, to get that blood pumping and do something. And I really need to get back to that, or at least get on the rebounder, which is even better because not only am I burning calories, but the rebounder is a lot of fun. And I'm detoxing my lymph nodes in the process. So it's just like, the thing is that no matter where you are as far as your fitness goes, do something, because something is always better than nothing. I mean, even if you can't do a full jumping jack because you're not there, put your arms up and down, move your legs from side to side. It's just as good. Just move.
Yes, absolutely. And the nice thing too is the more you start doing this, the more it becomes a habit, things become easier. And before you know it, you are doing the full jumping jacks. And in the process, you're getting that endorphin rush, which is why we get that exercise high. It's, our bodies are being flooded with endorphins, and it's a feel-good hormone. And so it not only helps to boost your mood, it can improve your sleep cycle if you're someone that struggles with insomnia. Changing your exercise routine can actually help to improve your sleep cycle.
Well, that's interesting that you said it, Aimee, because you had mentioned earlier that working out increases your serotonin, which it does, but in turn, the serotonin also helps to release the melatonin, which is our sleep endorphin.
Yes, absolutely. It all, everything is dependent on each other in the hormone system. So if you get one hormone that starts to really get out of balance, it can throw off the way your body functions completely. And, exercise, obviously there are some things that can't be cured by exercise alone, but it certainly does help to help bring those hormones back in balance and to regulate them.
Right. Krista, anything?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm listening about the hormone balance and just how complicated that can be for a lot of people, and just bringing it down to something like some regular exercise. Maybe we can't understand everything about what's happening in our bodies and why we feel the way we do or what we're able to accomplish. But if we could just move, like that simple message you were saying about just move, maybe for some people it's dancing. Maybe for some people it's running, but to do something, and then just, one of the things that I do as a life coach is I encourage my clients to pay attention to how things make them feel, and pay attention to what the impact is. So if you're moving and then you have a brighter outlook, or you start to feel like you have more confidence, pay attention to how that impacts your parenting, how you are at work, how you begin to relate to other people, how, there's a rippling effect and this interconnectedness. But when we feel good, we have a better outlook, our perspective changes. So, sometimes it's a small change, but I guess what we're also talking about is consistency, and having some kind of regularity is critical. So it doesn't have to, it may sound complicated, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. The key is to do something and to do something on an ongoing basis.
Yes.
And I guess, going after what you enjoy and finding a way to make it fun, is even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Then you have a better chance at staying with it,
Right. Because it's like what we were saying earlier. You have to find something you enjoy doing. And I agree, Chris. I mean, even if it's just dancing, and that's what Zumba is. Zumba is just dancing.
Yeah.
You can burn a lot of calories just dancing, and there's a lot of great music. Just put on some fun music, and you're looking at, if you do that throughout the day, most songs are approximately 3 minutes long. So that's 3 minutes of cardio. So when you get that, when you don't burn calories unless you get that heart rate up. I have talked to women about working out, new moms, and they're like, oh, well, I'm running up and down the stairs, and, I'm picking my daughter up because I talk about bone density.
Right.
And to get that bone density, we have to lift weights, and it helps us to prevent osteoporosis. And they feel like, well, I'm doing this. Isn't it good enough? And it's like, no, it's not good enough. And my husband was the same way. Always saying, I kept encouraging him to work out, and he was just like, well, I go out in the yard and I'm cutting down these trees and I'm hauling these logs and, isn't that enough? And I'm like, no, it's not enough.
Right.
You have to get that heart rate up to burn the calories and to promote health for your body, because otherwise you don't. And, lifting up a child is great, but you don't have that consistency of lifting weights. And they don't have to be heavy weights either. Just do more reps. That's all you have to do. But you need that consistency.
Right. And it has to be something that actually challenges your body. If it's something that you can do and, sure, you can carry a gallon of milk from the car to the refrigerator to put it away, but if it's not getting your heart rate up, it's not giving you any good. Maybe if you do some bicep curls with it, I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Aimee,
or if you jog while you're bringing it in.
Have you considered producing a fitness routine for other people to follow? Maybe some videos or workout tapes, or do you do any training, where others can follow your lead?
Yes, I have done a little bit. I have a few videos that I have done and put on YouTube of just short. Most of them are just a couple exercises at a time, just short routines that people can do, and they're mostly geared towards runners. I did do one that is on diastasis recti, and I was told that I was pronouncing it wrong. I'm from the Midwest. I was saying diastasis. It's diastasis. I've been corrected.
So am I. I'm from the Midwest, too.
I know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there are so many people around here that pronounce it diastasis, but it's diastasis. And so I did a video because it's a really common thing for women in particular. Men can get it too, but it happens a lot after childbirth, where there's a separation of the abdominal muscles. The middle of your abdominals actually separate because of the pressure of your uterus pushing out on them. And so that's why a lot of women have trouble getting their abs to flatten back out after childbirth, is because those muscles are still stretched apart and separated. And if you do traditional crunches and core work, it can actually make it worse. And so that's why you hear women talking about, oh my gosh, I've been doing crunches and it just seems like
doesn't do anything.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And it's because that separation is there. And until you get that separation healed, you're not going to be able to get that to flatten out, because it's not exactly like a hernia, but it's almost like, things are still pushing out where they shouldn't be. It's not coming all the way through like a hernia would. But so I did a video on that, and that has by far been the most popular video that I've done. But it's just some basic exercises that you can do. I show people how to check to see if they have it. And if you do have it, just some simple exercises that you can do to help it heal. And then once it's healed, then you can go back to your crunches and, your standard core work. But in the meantime, you want to make sure that if you have it, that you're avoiding any crunches.
I think this would be a good article, because I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is too, Aimee, because of the fact that the magazine is digital, we can actually include the video in there. So if you wanted to include more details in an article, and then we could go ahead and actually include the video in there, because I never heard of that. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah, I'd be glad to contribute it.
Oh, I'm sorry to speak over you. If somebody wants to find the video tonight or tomorrow, what's the best way to find it?
Okay, it is on YouTube, and I also have it embedded. I wrote a post on my blog, 40 by 40 Fitness, about diastasis recti, and it's embedded there as well. So if they go to my blog and if they search for on my home menu, I have different sections. One of them is training, and the first drop-down menu underneath it is core. The first post that comes up at the top is exercises for diastasis recti. And so it explains what it is, and then the video is embedded in it. If you want to go directly to YouTube, you can just search for my name, Aimee Shilling, and you can find it that way as well.
Speaking of social media.
I put that link up.
Thank you.
All right, go on, Krista. I'm sorry.
No, just a little bit here. You are really prolific on the networks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and let people know about all the many different channels? I happen to have found you on Pinterest, and
yes.
My goodness. How many pins do you have?
Well, I don't know. I kind of joke that I think I need a pintervention, because I love Pinterest.
Pintervention, that's good.
Yes, a pintervention.
No, but seriously, you have a board on Pinterest that everybody should know about. One of them is what is it called? It's like good things to remember, or
good reminders.
Good reminders. Oh my gosh, so many beautiful, beautiful statements and photos. It's extremely inspirational.
Krista, can you post that link in the chat for us, please?
Okay, I'll grab it and post it in the chat. I love that one, and I also love the one about the trails and your favorite trails. And I want you to talk more about your boards, but I'm also have this question for you.
Yes.
I'd love to hear about your favorite running conditions. If you're running a marathon, or if you're training for a marathon, I've heard people talk about 40-degree temperatures and a light drizzle being like their favorite running. What really makes it paradise for you when you're running?
For me, and it depends on the distance. If it's a shorter distance, I like it just a little bit warmer. So if I'm running like a 5K or a 10K, I like it to be in the upper 60s or even the 70s. And for marathons, I tend to like it if it starts in the mid to upper 40s and then warms up towards the end of the race to upper 50s or those 60s. That's kind of my ideal marathon conditions. Yeah. And just because your body, when you're running that long, your body heats up so much on its own that it's nice to have the cooler temps to start with. And you'd be surprised at how fast your body does heat up. So,
I've seen some of these ultra marathons. You've run some ultra marathons also?
Yes, I have. I've run marathons in really warm weather where it got to be in the 80s by the end of the race, which was very, very hot. And I've run ultras. The coldest one that I've run to date, it was my very first 50K. I showed up to this race, and it was 8 degrees at the start and 16 degrees at the finish by the time we were done. Wow. And, oh my gosh, it was so cold. It was windy, and, we joked the type of race that it was. It's a type of race, they're called fat ass runs. And basically it's a free run in order to run this race, all you had to do was pay $25 to join this local running club, and then you got to run the 50K for free. And so they're like, just show up, bring your favorite running snack to share with the group, and with this type of run, the motto of it is no shirts, no medals, no aid, no wimps. So
Wow.
it's free, but you're not getting the shirt, you're not getting the fancy medal. They don't have set aid stations. If you want something to drink, you bring it with you. So it's just a very low key type of event. That was my first ever 50K, and so I got this brilliant idea, and I'm like, well, bananas are great fuel for running. So I bring these bunches of bananas to this 50K to share with the group, not thinking that with the temperatures being this low, they will freeze. So we had frozen bananas, and we were joking the whole time. I was like, I'm a total slacker. Like, the only acceptable way to eat frozen bananas is dipped in chocolate. And So it just never occurred. I had never run in that low of temperatures for that long of a time before, that it never occurred to me that if you set a bunch of bananas out on a table for several hours,
they're going to freeze. Yeah, as soon as you mentioned frozen banana, I'm thinking, okay, and then there was chocolate? Was there chocolate for dipping?
Right. Yeah, I wish I had thought about the chocolate. That would have made it acceptable. But nope, it was just, they weren't even peeled. So good luck getting that peel off.
Wow.
They're great for fuel, provided you can eat them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, providing you can thaw them out enough to peel them, they're fantastic.
So, do you think one of these ultra extreme marathons are in your future? The ones you mentioned going, running a race in Utah, and
Yes.
one of these extreme marathons is through the deserts of Utah, and I've seen these like beautiful places, but they're, like you say, they're not for wimps.
Yes. I would love to do one of those down the road. Like, I am trying to keep most of my races local, but we do have some pretty extreme ones locally too. There's a race in Ohio that I'm planning on doing in 2016. It's called Burning River, and it roughly follows the Cuyahoga River, not exactly. It veers away, but it runs from Cleveland to Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. It's a 100-mile race, and it's mostly on trails. So that is one of the races that I would like to attempt in 2016.
Okay.
That'll be my longest race. So far, I've gone up to 52 miles. That's the longest I've been to date. So
2016 that's kind of right around the corner.
It is.
So how do you prepare your mind? Is it the mind and the body? Do you do the body first and then the mind, or you get your mind? Do you see yourself running this 100-mile race and then you train the body to be able to handle it? What's
Honestly,
what's your secret formula?
I've got several friends that have already done this type of race, and so I've been asking them for quite a while now, what's the secret? What do I need to do? And everybody has been pretty consistent in telling me this is a mindset race. Right. Because no matter how much you train, if you run that long, that far, you are going to hurt. Things are going to come up unexpectedly, and you're going to have to just be able to push through them. There's no way to run, even a 52-mile race, there's no way to run it without any pain whatsoever. And so, yeah, mindset absolutely is the first key in that, and that was kind of how I took my first 50K as well. For that race, and it was the one that was 8 degrees at the start, I had just read the quote by Nelson Mandela, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And so That was my mantra. That entire race was,
Wow.
yes, it seems impossible now, but I'm going to cross that finish line, and when I do, I will have accomplished what I once thought was impossible. And so, I'm kind of taking the 100-mile race the same way, and just looking at it as, yes, I can do it. As far as like training, most of the people I've talked to said that, my current training is probably sufficient to actually get me to the finish. It's more of a mindset thing.
It's the mindset.
Yeah.
All right. It's 8 o'clock, top of the hour, so we're going to take a short music break, and we'll be right back.
I can't wait.
Go ahead.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Aimee, when we had left, oh gosh, I've lost it now. I was trying to remember, Crystal. You had asked her, you were asking her how she motivates her mind.
Yeah.
I found that interesting because I have, some CDs that I was listening to by Zig Ziglar. I don't know if Aimee, do you listen to any of the motivational speakers at all?
I do on occasion. It's one of those things that I would love to listen more, but time is a factor. But I do on occasion.
Well, that's why we keep them in the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Anyway, one thing that Zig Ziglar had said was that they did this experiment with athletes. And what the athletes did is, like for you, running the marathon, they pictured it in their head. They saw themselves running, crossing the finish line. And what they found was during the study, and I don't know how they did it, they must have hooked them up to something, but they found that the body actually reacted more to the mind going through the process of doing this than when the body actually did it. And another thing that they found out too was that people actually performed a whole lot better by just playing it over and over in their mind. But it wasn't just the playing it; it was also the feeling it. Getting all the emotions involved, so that the mind just kind of was like a computer that was programmed that. This is it. This is what I do, and they just did it, and they succeeded, and I thought that was really phenomenal.
Yes, absolutely. And I've noticed that in races, obviously, there have been times I've done this better than others. It's always a learning process. But, in the races where, my mindset wasn't right and I was starting to kind of let the negative thoughts take over, I felt a lot more pain. I felt a lot more discouraged. I was questioning whether I could do it. And the races where I have really been focused, really had a positive mindset going into it, I felt better. And in a lot of cases, I was running a faster and a harder pace, but I felt better doing it. There's a verse in Proverbs that I love. It's Proverbs 4:23, and it says, "Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life." What you set your heart on, what your mind is focused on,
Right.
That's the way your life tends to go.
Absolutely.
Right. That's one of my favorite books of the Bible, by the way, is Proverbs.
Yeah.
Just because it tells us how we're supposed to live.
Yeah. And there's so much wisdom in there.
Oh, yeah.
Aimee, would you give us that Proverbs 4:23 again, a little more slowly, so everybody can really take that in?
Yes, it's watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life.
That's great.
Aimee, there was another question I wanted to ask you about when you were talking about pregnancy.
Yes.
I had found that, like I said, I started working on 17. But what I found, and I'm just wondering if this is true with you, I'd actually like to do a survey to find out if this happened with other women, because I'm contributing. I had easy childbirth with all three of my kids. I was only in labor for an hour. And I contributed that to the fact I was working out. So I'm just wondering, did you experience the same thing? Is this because do women who work out actually experience faster labor?
I've always heard that. I've always heard that from all the women I know who have had easy deliveries. They were also really working out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
And I did experience that. I worked out through all of my pregnancies.
For you.
And yeah, my longest, I did have one child that, went very overdue that I had to be induced with. And so that labor took 6 hours.
Oh no.
I know, right? But the ones that I went into labor on my own, the first two were 4.5 hours. The last one was 2.5 hours, and we were waiting on the doctor to get there. I
did that too
ahead of time. You know, they're like, just don't push. I'm like, how do you not push?
Yeah, right.
But so yeah, I had very easy labors and deliveries.
Did you do it naturally?
I did. I used the Bradley method, and I had completely natural childbirths with all of them, including the induction. So I've never had an epidural or anything. But it was so awesome. I was able to, like, right after I gave birth, I was able to get up and start walking around. Yep. And, you know, my recovery was fantastic. And, you know, I heard such horror stories from some of my friends, and I didn't experience any of that.
Yeah, it's funny because with my first two, I was not able, of course, I wasn't running like you. I was doing, you know, like I said, I mentioned Tybo and, you know, the step and different things like that. But with my first two, I was like drained of energy. I just did not have the energy to work out. Mm-hmm. But with my last one, I had a lot of energy, and I actually worked out until I was 7 months pregnant. And the only reason I quit is because when I would do crunches and I would go to get out of it, I would have a muscle spasm.
Yeah.
And I just got so tired. You experienced that too?
Yeah, and if you think about it, like the way our bodies are designed, like that, a contraction is basically like when you're doing a crunch, it's the type of, it's the same type of thing that your muscle is doing when you have a contraction.
Really?
And so, yeah, it's just those abdominal muscles are tightening up. And actually, you know, once you get to a certain point, you don't want to do a ton of crunches because that can actually make that separation that I was talking about earlier. It can actually make it worse because of the way that you are compressing the muscles. But yeah, and I mean, I was able to find workarounds, and you know, I wouldn't do crunches, but I would do other exercises instead. And I actually, with my third child, I found a maternity support belt. And if you think about some of the belts that weightlifters use, but just like flip it around so that instead of the support being in the back, it's like underneath your stomach. It was something similar to that. And so I was actually able to still run without my stomach bouncing like crazy.
Support.
Yeah, because that was the most uncomfortable thing for me, was my stomach bouncing, when I would run. And I would get round ligament pain because of the way it was pulling. But then once I got this support belt, I was able to run without pain. And
that makes sense.
I kind of wished I had it for my first two.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, because earlier we were talking about working out and finding something that you enjoy, and I had just, you know, thought about various people that I know who don't have the physical capability to physically get up and maybe use the rebound or run or do Tybo or play basketball. And the thing is that I think what people should know is I have found on YouTube there are various workouts that you can do while sitting down. And, you know, it goes back to something is better than nothing.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
have to work our bodies, and especially as we mature, we don't use the O word. It does not exist in my vocabulary, so you won't hear me say that. But
No,
as
I
we
agree.
mature, you know, our bodies become depleted of certain vitamins and minerals, and those depletions can lead to osteoporosis and brittle bones and easy breakage. But, you know, you could easily sit down in a chair and utilize light weights to build that bone density. So there are things that you could do. You know, if you want to and you want to go ahead and get healthy and stay healthy. And, you know, I hear some people say that, well, you know what, they just give up, and it's just like, well, this is what I have, so I'm just accepting it. And I'm just like, no, I know I'm not accepting it. You know, if there's something that I could do, if I'm going to be alive, I want to have the best quality life that I could have. I don't want to just be, I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be lukewarm. I want to live. I want to be able to move. I want to do the things that I want to do. And I think that everybody needs to develop that mindset that they don't have to settle for what they feel that they've been dealt.
Hey, Joyce.
Yeah, absolutely.
I asked Aimee a little bit earlier if she could consider doing some videos or a workout routine for folks, and that was like awesome where she sent us. And now I'm asking you, have you considered, doing some videos or a routine for people to follow, especially with this, notion of how you don't have to settle, that there are things you can do, even if you're like sitting in a chair. I mean,
right.
I hear you talking about this, and you're so passionate. I mean, I had an image of you with a flag, like leading a parade,
Actually, I have, because one of my passions is letting people know that, like I said earlier with the jumping jacks, if you can't do a full jumping jack, put your arms up and down, move your legs from side to side. I want to share with people what's the word I'm looking for? I'm thinking alternative, but that modifications. That there are modifications for every single exercise, just about. Like we were talking about the mountain climbers earlier, and you were saying how you do them slower, and that's fine. And that's the thing too, is that we all have to work at our own pace. We're all at different levels. I'm not a runner. There's no way that I can go ahead and be like, oh, well, I'm going to, run against Aimee in this marathon. I'm going to beat her. Yeah, right. Go figure.
Right.
So we're all at different levels, and we just need to accept that. I really, really want to encourage people to exercise, do something. And, don't ever accept that this is where I am in life. I can't use my legs or I can't use my arms, so I can't do anything. That's not true.
I really love that. I think that is a message that it's such an encouraging message. In fact, I just got this vision. Have you ever seen these videos where, there's one person out front that's doing the step, and then there's maybe somebody else is in the room doing the modified version? Yes. I think that the three of us could really do well in this area.
Yeah.
I think we combine the ultra marathon runner, and Joyce, and then me with the really slow marathon. I could do like one for every 5 of yours, and just let people know that there's something for everybody,
And there is.
Yeah. Yeah, there really is.
And even if your desire is to run, there's things that you could do inside the house. I had shared, Krista, you probably remember I had shared that 1 minute, that 10-minute video where they were saying that, if you can't go out for a jog outside, you could still get your cardio in.
Yes.
It just, there's something that everybody can do. And, I'm not going to give up on life and just be like, oh, well, I have this situation. I have this ailment. I have this that's holding me back. But then, again, it goes back to what we're talking about mindset. You have to want it. You have to get your mind to that point where it's like, I'm not settling for this. I can do better. I want more from my life. If your mind is not there, then it's useless. Because it's like
agree.
Aimee was saying, you have to get the mindset. If you don't have the mindset, you could do the body thing all you want. I mean, there's been times where I worked out and just really didn't have the energy, and it was like my body was moving and my mind just kind of wasn't there, and it was just kind of like, a half-assed attempt to do what I wanted to do, but I really couldn't get the mindset going, but I still wanted to do something. And I also want to touch back on when Aimee was talking about those endorphins and how they kick in and give you the workout high. That's what I got addicted to. I got addicted to that workout high of just, afterwards having that high.
Yeah,
and
people often talk about that, the runner's high and the workout high. Yeah, it feels great.
Right, and that was one of the things, too, I tried to get my daughter to understand, and she was just looking at me being like, oh, you're this fanatic and I don't want to be like you, was that I'm just like, you get this high, and it gets addicting. It's like, I want that feeling. I want to feel that. I guess I'm an endorphin junkie.
There are far worse things to be addicted to.
Oh, yeah, right. If you're going to be addicted to something, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The way I see this, there are three pieces to, what seems to happen when people really, go for their goals and reach them. They have to want it, and they have to believe it's possible. So there's, there's a little bit of a confidence factor there, or an understanding of that I can do something, to believe it's possible. And then they also have to be ready to actually receive it. And when those three things are together, you're unstoppable.
Right, but at the same time, you can't just sit back. You have to put the plan into action. It goes back to the lottery ticket, Krista.
Oh yeah,
you gotta buy a ticket.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's action. You have to take action if you're going to achieve anything at all. Right.
I just want to share that analogy with Aimee real quick.
Yeah, tell the story.
It's actually a joke, but it's like so true. There's this blonde, and she's about to lose her job. No, I'm not trying to insult blondes. Okay, she could be whatever color you want, but she's a blonde, and she's about to lose her job. So she's praying, God, please help, let me win the lottery. I'm going to lose my job and I'm going to lose my house. And she loses her house. So she's living in her car. She prays again. She says, oh, God, please let me win the lottery. I'm going to lose my car. She loses her car. So she prays again. God, I need to win the lottery. I have to do something. And God says, you know what? Buy a ticket.
Very true.
Right. So my husband and I will often say when life situations come up, you gotta buy the ticket.
Buy a ticket.
You have to take action. You can't just pray. Right. You can't pray or will something to happen without doing anything. You have to do something.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yeah, so sometimes wanting it enough will move you into action. Oftentimes you have to have some measure of belief that you can actually do it to take some action. And you also have to be ready to receive, and those things coming together, anything seems to be possible.
Yeah. I mean, people have accomplished, amazing things. And you can't do it without believing that you can do it. And then taking the action to actually make it happen.
Make it happen. Can we talk a little bit about the article that you have in the upcoming issue of It's Your Life magazine? Sure. Yeah. So gifts for the fitness fanatic. So some of these are you're recommending products, and you've tried them all. Is that right?
Yes, I've tried everything on the list, and they're all things that I personally use and would be comfortable recommending to my close family and friends. So,
what I'd like to hear more about are those socks. I love them socks.
Yeah. So it's a really cool company. It is called Crazy Compression, crazycompression.com. And what it is, they are compression socks, but a lot of times when you think of compression socks, you think of the really boring ones that you see at the drugstore. These are actually fun. They've got all kinds of cool, crazy designs on them. There are some that are tie-dye. There's some that, are made to have sort of an American flag design on them. Some of them have peace signs. There's some with hearts. They come in all kinds of different colors. So they're actually fun-looking socks, but they are graduated compression as well. And
can you explain what that is?
Yes. So what it is basically when you put them on, the socks come up and they are almost knee-height socks. And down by your toes, they're the tightest. There's the most compression by your toes. And then as you work up the foot and up your leg, the compression gets a little lighter. And so they're not quite as tight the further you go up. And so what it does is it helps with the circulation in your calf muscle and in your foot. And so it's helping your body to improve the circulation. And a lot of times diabetics use them for that reason.
Right.
Is for the circulation purposes. But if you work out, it can also have an added benefit in helping your body recover. And there have been studies that have shown that compression gear, if you wear it as a recovery tool, can help your body recover faster due to the increased circulation. So it's a product with a purpose, but it is also super fun, and they would be cute just to wear.
They're cute. Right, so
definitely.
These are the ones, like you said, they're at the drugstore, they're like beige or black. Yes. And that's not it. Yeah, beige, black, and white. And these are colorful, and so they have a wide appeal, and they make you feel better.
Yes, and they're made without the fabrics and the threads that they're made from have not been treated with some of the harmful chemicals, that some clothing products are treated with. So,
like formaldehyde.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually, when I was going through her article, I actually called the company. I don't know if I told you that, Amy, but I did. I called them because I've asked Krista, do you think I'd be too picky? Because I am picky, because the magazine is about natural living. And I don't want anything in there that is not natural. And formaldehyde, I'm sorry, but that's not natural in materials that we use for clothing.
Right.
So I was concerned about that. There's some of our readers who are new to the natural living lifestyle, and I want them to be able to go to places and know that the products that they're getting are truly safe. And I feel that they depend on us to do that.
Right, absolutely. I think it's awesome that you do your due diligence and make sure that, everything in there is consistent with what the magazine is promoting. So I think that's awesome.
I'll tell you, it's not easy.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, it's not, because I was try to get advertisers in there, especially now that the holiday seasons are coming around. And, thinking about natural materials and things that are made from natural materials. And one of the things that came up was hemp. I love hemp. I love everything about hemp. I love the fact that we can ingest it, and it gives us the omega-3s, the omega-6s. I love the fact that I could use it in my skin, and it just helps with that. And I like the fact that we can make clothing with it that's very durable, and we can make bracelets with it and jewelry with it. So I was looking for hemp jewelry. And I came across some sites, and I looked on it, and they had plastic beads, and I was going, no.
It was so good until you got to the plastic.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh.
Use some crystals, incorporate a crystal into that. Or some okay, somebody help me with this. Seashells. Okay, I got it. It's like incorporate something like that. Why does it have to be plastic?
You're giving some entrepreneur out there some really good ideas.
Well, good. And I'm going to contact them, because that's one thing about the magazine too, is when it comes to our advertisers, and Krista kind of, I think, has some different different visions on it than I do. But we've geared ourselves to small businesses, so our advertising rates are very low. I mean, they're ridiculously low, aren't they, Krista?
They're ridiculously low.
Like, Krista's like, you really need to look higher your prices. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I want to go for the small businesses. You know, one of the reasons I want to do that is because the small businesses, they know what their products contain. Where big businesses, they become so out of touch with stuff that they don't know what the heck's in their products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, plus it's just like, I'm a small business. I want to help the small business people. You know, it's like, forget about Walmart and all them people.
Well, you know, I commend you, Joyce, and I really respect your dedication and to holding that line, so that, you know, over time, as people read the magazine, they'll know that what's in the articles, what's coming from the advertisers, that it all supports the mission of the magazine. So,
well, and that's pretty much what I'm striving for. But, you know, I'll tell you, sometimes it gets frustrating. There are times that I kind of went, well, you know, maybe I can just slip up on this. Like
no.
when I was looking for the organic cotton T-shirts, and there were some dyes in there that I didn't feel were safe. And it was just like, well, you know, T-shirt's 100% organic cotton, so maybe it's okay. But then I was like, no, I can't do this, you know. Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Something else that's on Aimee's list of her gifts for fitness fanatics. One that I thought was really interesting. I've never seen anything like this. Maybe everybody else has. I don't know, and I'm just sort of, you know, slow coming to the party. But the road ID?
Yes. It's really a good idea for anyone that exercises outdoors to have one. And they come in, there's a bunch of different models. The one that I have, it's a metal plate attached to a Velcro strip, and I just Velcro it right onto the laces of my running shoes. But it has my name, my address, and emergency contact numbers. So if something were ever to happen to me while I'm out exercising, they know who my family is, and they can get in contact with them and let them know, you know, that something has gone wrong, so that they're not wondering what happened. And really, if you have any sort of medical issues at all that emergency personnel might need to be made aware of, it's a really good idea to put that on there as well. I know some people wear medical bracelets. They have a road ID version of a bracelet as well that you can, you know, if you don't want to put it on your shoe, you can have the bracelet that you wear with all of your information on your wrist. And some of the models even have a tracking app, which is kind of nice. So if I were to go out for a run and I had a model that had the tracking app enabled, my family would be able to track me while I was on my run to know exactly where I was at. And if I stand still for more than, I think it's a couple minutes, it will automatically send a notification to my family to let them know, hey,
I like
she stopped moving. And then, you know, because I carry my phone, then they can call me and see, hey, is something wrong?
Yeah,
or
are you okay?
Right, or are you just stuck at a stoplight somewhere?
Yeah.
So
I think this is a really interesting gift for, you know, parents might want to think about something like this for their children who,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
you know, especially this, you know, we're going into the time of year where it's going to be dark earlier and, you know, you can worry. And,
yes.
you know, this just sounds like a really neat gadget. I'd rather worry and make a phone call than, you know, to just be clueless and sorry later, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's a very inexpensive product, but the peace of mind that it provides is well worth it. So.
Right. Tell us about some of the other gifts. I'm in a shopping kind of mood.
Okay, so one of the other gifts that I mentioned is a specific type of water bottle that I like to take on some of my runs, and it's made by Nathan Hydration Systems, and it has a handle that you can hold onto, and it's made so that the bottle is sort of concave, so it's shaped to your hand, and it fits really well. And then on the opposite side of the bottle, so you've got the hand strap that goes around, and it just kind of fits in your hand. The opposite side of the bottle has a nice size pocket. And what I love about the pocket is it's big enough that you can carry your ID, if you want to carry debit cards, if you have, it won't work with the giant phones like the Samsung Galaxy or the iPhone 6 Plus, but if you have a smaller cell phone, your cell phone can fit in the pocket. If you want to carry granola bars, like you can literally be self-sufficient just by carrying one water bottle. You can have everything that you need with you while you're exercising. So I love that product. I've run entire marathons with it, and it's been really, really comfortable to use. So that's one of my favorites.
And it's BPA free.
Yes. It is plastic, but it's BPA free. So,
right.
Which for running purposes, it's harder to get like a glass type of bottle. So it's
right.
important that it be BPA free. For that type of environment. Then some of the other items on there, I put, there's the Gaiam, there's a type of yoga mat, and I'm probably mispronouncing the company's name, but Gaiam
they
is one of...
They make workout videos, too.
They do. They're one of the top retailers in yoga accessories, and yeah, their workout videos are very nice as well. And I have one of their yoga mats, and, whenever I'm doing yoga or Pilates, it's really nice. You've got a non-slip surface, and it gives you a little bit of cushioning. So if you're doing something where you're laying on your back, I know many years ago, I think when I was 14, I fell down the steps and I broke my tailbone. And so certain exercises to this day, like if I'm laying on my back doing certain things, my tailbone hurts. But if I use the yoga mat, it's just enough cushioning that it doesn't hurt.
It looks really thin. I was looking at it because I actually need a new exercise mat. But I'm just wondering, and I didn't break my tailbone, but I have the same problem. I find when I'm doing like a V-sit, if I'm doing a V-sit with like a Russian twist,
yes,
it's like I can feel my tailbone digging in. Yeah. And it's like I'm looking at it right now, and it's like it seems like it's awfully thin.
Yeah, it's 5 millimeters, which is thick for a yoga mat, but it's not thick compared to some of the exercise mats. I know, like when you go to the YMCA, our local Y, the mats that they use are almost closer to like a gymnastics cushioning type.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's not that thick, but at least for me, it's enough that it takes that pressure off, and it makes it more comfortable to do like the V-sits and the Russian twists, like you mentioned. So, and it's made so, like the ones that they have at the Y, if you stand on them barefoot, it's not the same texture. You might slip a little bit. These are a non-slip surface, so it is designed more for yoga. So if you're doing like a standing pose, like if you're doing warrior pose, your foot isn't going to be slipping while you're in the pose. Your foot's going to be nice and stable.
I'm not a real big fan of yoga. I've tried it, and I'm just like, I know it's really excellent for the human body. I know I should probably do it, but I can't get into it. But I do love that warrior pose.
Yeah, warrior is one of my favorite poses. I I always tell people I do something that roughly resembles yoga. I won't even go so far as to say that what I'm doing is yoga because I'm pretty sure I'm completely butchering it. But I can see the benefit to it, so I throw it in there from time to time, to make sure that I'm staying flexible and gaining, some of the benefits of yoga. But yeah, I'm definitely not a hardcore yogi by any means.
Sort of yoga-like, quasi
yes.
stand. I'm a fan of the tree pose, and I absolutely adore that one where you lay flat on your back at the end of a yoga session and just sort of go to sleep. I love that one.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's my kind of pose.
I forget what that's called. It has a really nice name, too.
Yeah. I can't even think of what it is right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Something like that.
Yeah. It was, at the end, when I was pregnant, I had a pregnancy yoga DVD. And it was at the end of this DVD, and I would do it every single workout. And I can't think of it for the life of me now.
It'd be really cool if somebody could call in to the show now and tell us what this is called.
Yes,
we need our yoga instructors.
What this pose is called.
It's really interesting because yesterday I was doing some research on hormones, only because, I'm going to go back to the fact that, I'm not going to accept the fact that I'm 51 years old and this is the way I'm supposed to be. I'm not letting my age define me. But one thing I have realized is that hormones are wacky right now. And one of the things that I was doing some research on was cortisol.
Yes.
And cortisol. And it's cortisol is that hormone that we kick off like when we get the flight and fight type mode, And what tends to happen is it tends to build up in the body. Well, when it builds up in the body, it also causes fat. I'm horrified.
Yes.
And commonly in the midsection. So what I was reading and learning was that actually when you do like a cardio type workout, you're actually releasing more cortisol into your body. So he was saying that you're better off to go ahead and do like some yoga or Pilates like 2 or 3 times a week because it will lower that cortisol level.
Right. And especially when you get into the really long endurance exercises, that can tend to raise your cortisol levels. So like when you're running, like when I'm going out and running for hours, that can raise your cortisol levels, which is why, it's important to, like you said, make a habit of doing Pilates. I try to do Pilates regularly. I also lift weights, because those types of exercises help lower the cortisol levels. And even if you do cardio, if you're keeping it between 30 to 40 minutes and it's a higher intensity cardio, like more of like a high intensity interval training, HIIT training, that type of workout can lower your cortisol levels. But yeah, when you're doing cardio for hours on end, it's important to have that balance. So
right, I agree. I when I had my gym membership, one of the things I would notice about people in the gym was that not all of them, but some people, they would be totally all about cardio, and others would be all about the weights. And I'm just like, people, you need a balance. You need to do cardio and muscle training. Personally, I love working with the weights. I love working my upper body with weights. I love the way it feels. I feel like I'm strong. I'm just like, yeah.
Right.
Give me those weights. I love the way that they feel.
Right.
But now he wasn't, this is interesting to me because he wasn't saying that, and maybe I misunderstood what he was saying. But it's good to know because I just kind of like freaked out. I'm just like, no, I need to do this cardio. I'm sitting all day long. I need to get my heart pumping. I need to burn these calories because if you're not burning calories, you're not getting rid of fat,
This is true.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think there's a lot of different research out on it, and different people obviously have different takes on it. But yeah, I think like you said, cardio is important, but just keep it in balance. So, but yeah, at least from the training classes I've been in, they said that HIIT training does tend to lower cortisol. But
So
you never know. They could train.
You mentioned HIIT multiple times. What is HIIT?
HIIT is an acronym. It stands for High Intensity Interval Training.
Example?
And so basically what it is you are going at a very, very high intensity level. You're going almost all out for a very short period and then taking a break. So a lot of boot camp style classes are structured around HIIT training, where you will go all out, you will be drenched in sweat, but you're only doing an exercise for a minute or two, and then you stop, you take a quick break, and then you go on to the next exercise. They have timers actually that are made for things like this. I have a timer on my phone. It's called Gym Boss, and you can set it up so that you've got different intervals, and so you can set like how long you want the interval to be, how long you want the rest to be, and it's going to beep to tell you when to start your next set, beep to tell you when to stop, beep to tell you when to start up again, so that it really takes the guesswork out of it.
Do you think that Tabata is an easy way for somebody to integrate HIIT into their workout routine, considering that? So talk to us about Tabata.
So Tabata isn't something that I do a lot of. I do a little bit of it, but Tabata absolutely is a type of HIIT workout, and it's typically like a body weight exercise, and you're going all out. So if you're doing push-ups, you're doing as many push-ups as you can do in a minute. And you want to make sure that you keep good form. You don't want to be cheating on your form because you could injure yourself. But you know that you only have a minute, and so you push yourself to do as many good, solid push-ups as you can in a minute. And then you move on to the next exercise. And so the next exercise might be mountain climbers. And so then you've got a minute that you're doing mountain climbers, and you're doing them as fast as you can, trying to get as many as you can in that minute. And typically, most Tabata workouts are like 9 minutes. It's not a long work. Yeah.
I've heard it's more like 4. So you're doing, and I also heard too that it's more like 20 seconds of heavy interval training, and then there's a 10-second rest period, and then you go 20 seconds. And one of the Tabata workouts I was doing consisted of 4 different exercises. So you might have jumping jacks, maybe squats. You got burpees.
Burpees,
You know what? Burpees, I love them and I hate them.
Yeah, everybody does, right?
Yeah, it's love-hate. But you know what I do like about it? I love the challenge. And, you know, when I first started doing them, I was really determined to do 10 burpees in a row. And I did do it. I got to that point. But now I'm just kind of like, you know, I still do them, but it's just like, okay, people, you know, I'm going at my own pace here, you know. You guys go ahead and carry it out without me. But again, it goes back to what Aimee said earlier about that you have to challenge your body. Because that's the thing, too, that if we don't challenge our body, we get stuck. Our bodies will get used to you know, you're doing this all the time. And I hear a lot of people talk about, I work out and I'm eating right and I'm just not losing weight and, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, well, you know, try changing up your workout routine. Try doing something different. But I've noticed, too, it's the same thing with food. You know, change up your food. Change that up, too, because your body gets used to it. And it's like, oh, this again. Okay, no problem. I got this, you know, but you don't see the results. So you really need to change up your food and you need to change up your routine. And I think the biggest thing is that you have to listen to your body and it will talk to you. It definitely talks to us. We just need to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the principles that I go by as far as, maintaining weight and maintaining my fitness level, and it's something that Jill Coleman talks about in some of her fitness trainings and fitness articles. It's HEC. It's HEC, and it's an acronym for hunger, energy, and cravings. If your hunger is regulated, that you're not hungry all the time, if your energy levels are stable, and if your cravings are minimized so that you're not having all kinds of crazy cravings, then you've found a combination that works for you. But as our hormones change, our exercise routines change, things can get out of balance. And so it's a constant cycle. It's like you're always trying to be the detective in your own life.
A detective of your own self. Yeah.
Well, and that's definitely true of women because women's bodies change every 4 years.
Right. And I know what worked for me, in my mid-20s is not what's working for me now in my mid-30s.
I hear ya. I hear that.
But at the same time, I eat a lot more now in my mid-30s than I did in my late 20s, and I'm at a lower weight. But I've found the combination that works for me to help keep my hormones in balance, that is providing enough fuel for my body that it's meeting the needs of the demanding training that I'm putting on it. And, I'm eating relatively clean, so I'm not having the crazy sugar cravings. And, sugar is actually an addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
It literally has addictive properties to it that, the more sugar you consume, the more you crave it. So.
And it's in so much of our food. It actually takes a deliberate effort to get away from it because we're being pushed. The sugar's being pushed on us all the time.
Oh, it's in everything.
Yeah.
It's in everything. I had the genital, I'm not saying that right, diabetes when I was pregnant with both of my first kids. No, both of the boys. And I'd go in the store, and it was like literally in everything, crackers. You just can't get away from it.
There's a lot of sugar everywhere. But you know what? I know that we're getting close to the end of the hour, and I just, we talked about Aimee, as a wife, as in her, partnership with her husband. We've talked about Aimee as a mom, as an asset to her business organization, as a marathon runner. As a advocate of health, and so much of this, is something that could look like something that she keeps to herself. But I noticed that, Aimee, it looks like you're really doing a lot of this for other people. When I look at all of the channels that you're on, it's like a message that you're sending out.
Yes.
Encouraging other people to follow your lead and to do what they can for themselves. Would you just sort of let everybody know how they can find you, all the different channels that you're on, and if you can tell us at some point how you manage all of that, I'd love to know. But first, just let everybody know how they can find you and your message.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I feel like part of my job, I am an encourager. And so I want to be able to encourage people to go out and reach their goals. And it doesn't matter if it's running a marathon or if it's getting off the couch and running a mile. If you are getting up and being active, I am there for you, and I want to cheer you on. And I love seeing people interact on social media and seeing other people reach their goals. It just blesses me beyond belief. So, like I said earlier, my blog is 40 by 40 Fitness, and it is named after my goal to run 40 marathons or ultra marathons before my 40th birthday. So a lot of my social media channels have a very similar name, so that I can kind of keep consistent. A few of them are different. If you go on Facebook, I do have a Facebook page for the blog, and it's all running and health related. And you can find me under 40 by 40 Fitness on Facebook. Twitter, 40 by 40 Fitness was too long for a username, so it's just 40 by 40 Fit.
Now, Aimee, is that the number 40 for the Twitter, or is it spelled out like on your blog and Facebook?
It's spelled out like on my blog.
Okay.
So, FORTY by FORTY, Fit, is on Twitter. And, again, it's all pretty much exercise and health related. Pinterest, like we said earlier, I need a little bit of a pintervention. I've got over 12,000 pins.
Hey, you!
Yeah. But I love Pinterest. It's a really great way to save articles and save motivation.
Yes. Yes. It's also an easy way to find them rather than bookmarking them.
Yes, absolutely. You can just go to your board and you can search for exactly what you're looking for, and it's right there.
Right.
So on Pinterest, you can find me under 40 by 40 Fitness. My actual, if you search by user, I show up as Runnin' Mama 11, but it is also under the name 40 by 40 Fitness. And I've got a fitness board, I have a trail running board, I've got Good Reminders, which is the quotes, the motivational sayings. There's a recipes board, Adventures in Yumminess. I've got all kinds of stuff on there. So
right. We have 5 minutes. One thing that I'd like to know is,
yes.
What you eat on a regular basis and how it differs from what you eat when you're training.
Well, I'm pretty much training all the time. So, with running marathons as frequently as I do, I'm pretty much, always training, at a pretty high level.
So what would you say, what are the best foods to eat before you work out?
Before I work out, I try to, stick with more carb-based foods. And so, it depends on the type of workout I'm doing. Sometimes I will eat I like Cliff Bars and Lara Bars. I'll sometimes eat one of those. Bananas are always good. If I want just simple carbs, I'll sometimes eat pretzels. I'm a big fan of eating real food even while I'm running.
Right.
So I tend to, eat more real foods and try to stay away from some of the prepackaged gels and the sugary sport drinks.
So are you eating organic?
I do, for the most part. There are some foods that are very difficult to find organic or are cost prohibitive, but we eat a good portion of our diet organic. What's not organic, we try to at least make sure it's GMO free and non-processed.
Okay, we have 3 minutes. Why do you eat carbohydrates before you work out?
It's just the way your body processes things. Carbohydrates are more quickly available to be burned versus fats and proteins. I tend to eat fats and proteins after a workout because it can help to rebuild your muscles to help you recover faster.
So what kind of fats and proteins are you consuming?
I will take in either a endurance-specific recovery supplement that has protein and glutamine and leucine in it. There are a couple different companies that make them. Or sometimes I will come home and, if I have leftover chicken breast from the night before, I'll eat chicken or eggs. Sometimes I'll make a whole food smoothie.
Great.
So it varies.
Great. And that's one thing too that people don't realize is so important is the foods that we eat before we work out and the foods we eat. Personally, I don't eat when I work out. After I work out, I don't eat. And a lot of times I don't even eat right before I work out just because I just don't do it. Even though I know maybe it's not right. But at the same time, we're going back to the thing that you have to do what's right for your body. You have to listen to what your body's saying to you. And we're all different.
Right, and it depends too. I don't always eat before I work out, but if I know that I'm going to be working out for several hours and it's 4 o'clock and I haven't eaten since lunch, I just know my body. I'm not going to make it through that workout if I don't have something to sustain me.
Yeah, some fuel. Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, if you've eaten relatively recently or if it's a shorter workout, you don't always have to eat before you work out. It's usually a good idea to eat after to get some fuel into your muscles and start rebuilding them.
But is it totally necessary?
Again, it's not always totally necessary. It depends on the type of workout. If you're going out for a gentle walk, then you probably don't need to refuel your muscles the same way that you would if you're going out and doing hill sprints. So it totally depends on the type of workout too. But if it's something that's really draining you and there's a good chance you're going to be sore afterwards, then that's when I suggest that people do eat afterwards to try to help encourage their body to recover faster.
Krista, any closing comments?
No, I just, feel like you are, a volcano of information. I hope people will seek you out online. I think there's so much more to your story. Maybe we can even have you back on the show. And I think I said earlier that you mentioned your upcoming article. Actually, the magazine's out now. So everybody can grab that magazine. It's Your Life mag.com. You go there.
Yeah, once I get it up there.
You can read Aimee's article, take a look at the gifts, and just get to know Aimee better.
Okay, we're pretty much done for the night. Krista, if you could just introduce real quickly our next guest for next week and give us your blog address.
My blog address? Well, you can find me at www.justgetitdonenow.com. I'm a confidence and manifestation coach, and our guest next week is a friend of mine, Ellen Sue Spicer Jacobson. She writes for the magazine, It's Your Life Mag. Wonderful recipes in there, and she's going to talk to us about her life as a cooking coach and how to you do your own sprouting and how to have wonderful, healthy meals through the holidays.
And what is it? She's actually geared towards a specific. Is it from India?
Well, one of her favorite, it's Ayurveda cooking. It's a wonderful information, so please tune in on Friday.
Yes, and this has been It's Your Life, Just Get It Done Now with Joyce Wheeler and Krista Nelson. Y'all have a very great weekend.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.